Good morning, mindful travelers. It is day 20 of our confidence challenge, and it's a wonderful Wednesday. The weather is beautiful here in Texas. I don't know what's going on. It's August, and it is nice and breezy and cool. So I've been standing out here for about 5 minutes trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about. I have my equipment stuff laid out. I was going to give you a run through of my equipment and explain that, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I really didn't know where I wanted to go today. I just wasn't feeling the live video at all. I literally just clicked go live to force myself to do it. There's gnats everywhere and this stinks. This is rough. That's okay. But yeah, so I forced myself to get out there and go live because, I'm doing this video challenge for a reason, and I need to get myself out of that, out of my comfort zone and just keep going. So I think what I want to talk about is more about our philosophy of why we want to change the world and how we want to do that. If you visited my website before, you'll see our tagline is think big, act small. All right. What that means for us is we want to have these grand visions, these huge goals that we can change the world or do something great. But within those, all you have to do is do a small act. So every small act, when you add those together and build them up, that makes the big change. So that is the idea behind that tagline. If you've gotten any emails or read my blog posts, you'll see at the bottom that it says in italics, change the world one nameless stranger at a time. Now there's a funny story behind that. If you have been with me from the beginning, you probably read the blog post called Nameless Stranger. And I actually retold this story in blog form. You can find that over at ThinkAct blog. You just have to scroll all the way down and load up. You can find it down there. I think it's my second post. It was back in December of 2020, I believe, that I put that one out. So the story behind that really changed the way I viewed travel. That was back in, I believe, 2016. It was the first time that I went to France. And before I traveled internationally, I had never intended to travel internationally. Like, I was perfectly happy growing up in Texas. I was happy in the US. I'd been to Mexico, but beyond that, everything just seemed to cost too much. It was too far away. I was accustomed to my lifestyle. What I wanted to do was here. So I had no real reason to go abroad. But when I finally did, my eyes were open, and I struggle from anxiety, massive anxiety, and then add international travel to that makes it a whole lot worse. So imagine going somewhere that you never planned on going, already struggling with anxiety, and then putting yourself somewhere where you don't speak the language. That is something that instills fear in most travelers, a lot of travelers. If you do a search on why people don't travel, language barrier is a big thing. So a lot of people across the world see Americans as, not the most ideal people to interact with. There's this idea behind, an arrogant, brazen American who thinks their way is the only way. And when I traveled abroad, I didn't want to be that person. I was trying to be as, cognizant with my actions as possible and ensure that I didn't reinforce that stereotype. However, I went to London. I was there, I don't remember how long, but then I took the train over to Paris. I arrive in Paris. I'm supposed to be going to Disneyland Paris. So I arrive in Gare du Nord train station super late at night. It was probably around 11 p.m. and it looked like a horror story to me. The anxiety was overwhelming. My eyes were blurry. I was super tired. It was super dark. Like, I can barely recall anything but this big blue screen that had like the destinations of where we were going. I was wandering through trying to figure out what train I was supposed to be on. I had no idea what was going on. I heard all these people. There's so many people around. I'm from a small town, and I had been in New York City. I'd lived in New York City, but I lived in Queens. So I was separated from, Times Square district. I worked there, but I managed the crowds when I needed to. I'm an introvert, so I don't like big crowds. I hate social situations. But then I was in this train station where there's people everywhere. and they're all speaking different languages. I don't hear English anywhere around me, and I'm freaking out. And this gentleman comes up to me. He's wearing a blue, I think he had like a blue jacket on, a blue hat on. He was a worker. And he didn't come up to me. I walked up to him. He was over by that blue screen. And I was trying to express myself. He didn't understand me. He was speaking French, and I'm just panicking. And in the moment of my highest amount of panic, I blurted out, "English?" Yep. It was horrible. And I became that annoying American. Luckily for me, this gentleman was extremely kind, extremely patient, and totally understanding. He spoke to me in broken English. He helped me figure out my way and pointed me in the direction of the platform that I needed to get on to get to Disneyland Paris. He also told me a couple little phrases in French that I could use in the future to basically get myself where I needed to go. And it was such a kind interaction that I definitely didn't deserve it. In my moment of panic, the way I was acting, I was not deserving of that kindness. I never got his name. I'm sure he had a name tag on because he was a worker, but I was so freaked out that I didn't get it. So for me, he is that nameless stranger who showed me this unfettered kindness that I totally didn't deserve, that he never had to give. And I didn't intend to be rude, but I had no idea what was going on, and I completely lost my wits. And he, this nameless person, just helped me in more ways than I could imagine. He didn't just point me in the right direction, he showed me how to get along in his country. He welcomed me in and showed me, this gracious care that made a huge difference. And that lesson I have taken on for the rest of my travels. So since 2016, I have made a concerted effort to learn phrases for each country I go to. So when I'm going into a country, I'll spend time learning how to introduce myself, how to ask for certain things, how to certain salutations. And I've done that in a way to be less rude, be more understanding, be more accepting, and try and immerse myself in that culture and show, I'm here to learn. I'm not here to get what I want. We need to go into someone else's country and be kind and be understanding and be humble. So that is the lesson that I got from this nameless stranger. And it really has made a huge difference in who I am and how I envision the world and what we want to do. So we want to change the world one nameless stranger at a time, and that means we want to reach out to people that we don't know. We want to make an impact because every person that you interact with as you go travel is a nameless stranger. You are a nameless stranger to everyone around you. So another experience where I was able to give it back ironically happened in France as well. So we were traveling again to Disneyland Paris from Germany. This was when we lived in Germany. We traveled over to Disneyland Paris. I think we were on our way back. I believe it was the A4 that we were on. I'm not 100% sure, but we were in France and we stopped at this rest stop. I went inside, got us some snacks, was paying for gas, and this French lady was freaking out because her car was broken down. She was trying to get someone to help her. The cashier couldn't leave the desk, didn't know what she wanted, and she came up to me with oil and a filter in hand and was asking me in French to help her. I barely understood what she was saying. I expressed to her, that I didn't speak French. I tried to understand what the situation was, and I told her, I don't know how to help you. She kept insisting, and she looked so helpless. I said, okay, I'm going to go try and help you. So I walked out with her to her car. She pulled out, she opened her hood, and basically motions to me that the car won't start. Something's wrong with the car. So I check the oil, I do all that, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, everything seems fine. I'm not sure what's wrong. So I asked her for a manual. Didn't know what the word for French was. I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't translate. So I'm showing her, I'm motioning what I need. And she goes into her glove box and starts rifling through it and starts holding up things, and I point to it. She brings it to me, right? So I open it up. It's all in French. Yes. And this one doesn't have that many images either. So I'm trying to figure out the way around her car, and long and short of it, I ended up helping her after it took me maybe 10 minutes, but I was able to get her car started. No idea what I did. I sure hope that it continued running down the road, but she was so grateful, and she gave me a hug, like this perfect stranger. I have no idea what her name was. She doesn't know what my name was. Like, it was a wonderful experience, and I felt so good going home that I made that change, that I made a difference for that one person. So that is what we try and inspire here at Novel Excursion. We want people to reach out to each other. We want people to try and make a difference one person at a time. So the way you do that is communicating. When you go, anywhere you go, it doesn't matter if you're going internationally or going locally, people tend to stay within themselves, especially when they're out of their comfort zones. And this is especially true for introverts like myself. It is very easy to just be quiet and don't talk. Only speak when spoken to, only speak when you need something. But that is a very narrow way of getting through your life, especially getting through a trip. The way you're really going to experience a place, a location, a community, is when you talk. And that's going to be uncomfortable, especially for people like me. And that's what I'm trying to do with this video challenge, is being outside my comfort zone. And that is something you need to do when you travel. You need to reach out to people. You need to ask questions. And I think it is vitally important that we reach out to people when we're traveling. I think that will make a difference one person at a time, and that will add purpose to our travel. That will help us really change the world. And something that is amazing to me, and I've already started seeing the impacts of our philosophy, is that our daughter Sarah comes to me and tells me that she wants to help everyone. And when I ask her what that means, she says, well, I want to help the strangers. I want to help. She doesn't fully understand our taglines and our philosophy, but she's picking it up a little bit at a time. One of her ideas was she wants to start a shelter where she brings people in and gives them food. She has these wonderful ideas of wanting to help others that she doesn't know. And that is what we're all about. We want to inspire you. We want to inspire your kids. We want to inspire people all over the world to be selfless. And that is what we're trying to build, a community of caring and selfless humans. I appreciate you joining me today. I hope you don't mind my rambling. I'm much more eloquent in my writing, so definitely check out my blog post. You can find it. I'm not sure of the URL, but I'll post it down below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, definitely click subscribe. Let me know if this content is valuable to you. I want to have these conversations with more people. And we can have this conversation over on my group. You can join us at facebook.com/groups/novel excursion. So join us, come have the conversation with us. Let's change the world together, one nameless stranger at a time. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you later. So don't forget to travel mindfully.